What up, Bars Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Dropping Bars podcast. I am your host, Kimron Korean, and today I have a special guest with me all the way from the Bahamas. Today I have Varcy on the podcast. A couple years ago, I did a feature on Varcy in the Huffington Post, and so it's only right that she come and grace the pod with her presence. Varcy, welcome to Dropping Bars.
Hey, what's up? Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited about our conversation today, and let's just get the ball rolling. And Varsity, why don't you tell the Bars Nation who is Varsity? Like when you're introducing yourself, what do you normally say?
Um, Varcy is a very creative person, very innovative, very thoughtful, and all that good stuff. But most importantly, I'm a recording artist here in the Bahamas, and I'm also a hairstylist.
Okay, and you're a recording artist, and I know when we connected some time back, we spoke a little bit about that. So let's talk about that journey. So you are a recording artist.
Right.
You're doing really well. I mean, when I look on your social media and so, I'm like, okay, yeah, Varsity, I see you killing it. So tell me about your journey towards being a recording artist. Like, how did that journey start? Did you always know you wanted to be an artist?
I always knew I wanted to be like the people on the radio, which is definitely, a lot of them were recording artists. However, I thought that the music world was just black and white.
Mm-hmm.
I had a very tainted perception of it. I think at one point I was just like, okay, once I'm able to sing, then I'm able to get in there into what I have to do. But I quickly found out that it was obviously not just that. So the entire journey within itself has also been a spiritual one, and a lot of doors you could open that just might not work for you, and a lot of doors that close. So I had to learn seasons as well, within my journey. So it's been a big one.
Right. And going back to the beginning, well, I want to stay there for a little bit. You're from the Bahamas, so you born and raised, grew up in the Bahamas. Tell me about the what was your journey like before you got into music?
um, well, it was just a lot of me trying to grasp the music. I didn't have a home for my music. I didn't have a home to uh a platform to sing.
Hmm.
And I spent a lot of time trying to get myself out there. Um, but it was all I think it was always music. It was always music and it was always hair. So I've always been doing things of that sort.
Hmm.
It's just tapping into the business side was a lot to learn and, very strenuous, I would say.
Okay, and do you think that in the Bahamas that it's it's easy to get into music, like the doors just open themselves?
No, it didn't just open itself. You would spend a lot of time meeting persons that talk about exposure,
Hmm.
but to be able to use that to your advantage. I know a lot of
Right.
people credit exposure. I used exposure to get myself out there.
Hmm.
And I still use exposure. So I guess it depends on what level I'm at and when I would need certain types of exposure because I think it's certain types.
Right.
Obviously using myself into the industry, I used just going to a church or knowing someone's getting married and being, hey, you need to sing or something, or someone died, you sing at a funeral, or. But I spent a lot of time in my early years. I did a lot of organization, so I worked with choirs and bands and stuff like that. In 2016 is when I actually started like recording music.
Oh, okay. So you use the opportunity to like sing at different events, work with different
Yeah,
organizations and bands, and that is how you eventually got the exposure, got people seeing who you are. Okay, that's fabulous. That's great. And
yeah.
so you said in 2016, that's when you started like recording music. Now, what has that journey been like for you? What were some of the like challenges that you faced during that time?
Well, in 2016, I actually my journey with the band had ended, and I desperately needed a platform, and I just wanted to be able to still put myself out there. So after I found it a bit hard to fit into the bands, I think I was outgrowing them.
Hmm.
Or maybe it just wasn't. Maybe it was time for another season, because people already knew me from the bands, and so I guess it was time to go solo. Which is, I guess, it's perspective all over again. Because back then I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get into a band. I must be the problem. But I actually got into the recording by default because I
Mm.
had no idea how it actually worked, and it looked very intimidating. You know, I think the first time I asked somebody what the price was, I was like, oh, I don't know. I didn't know about that world. And
Right,
so jumped into it. Now, what was very difficult for me was being very young, not having a mentor in that space, and also being a woman. So
right,
it was a lot trying to get in and actually work with persons that wanted to be professional, um, persons that wanted to take you serious, persons that wouldn't override uh your studio sessions, and wouldn't take your creative capabilities and flip it into what they needed to be. So I experienced a lot of studio trauma. Not like the type persons would think, but it's more like me fighting for my creative space.
right.
Yeah.
And I could imagine that's a similar journey that many artists go through, especially
Right.
women artists, not just in the Bahamas, but across the region on a whole. But the good thing is that you persevered and you got out there. Now,
Yeah.
have you done any work internationally?
Yes, my international work. Well, I started to find my way into trying to climb into the international market in 2021.
Hmm.
So a lot of work, where I live. And then one day I decided I wanted to go abroad and work with a producer abroad, because that was my way to kind of, once again, expose myself to other persons.
Right.
I was thinking of the best strategy, So I went to Georgia. And even though I shot like music videos abroad already, I did a music video in Cuba. I didn't actually finish that music video. I shot that music video in 2017. I didn't actually complete that until 2020.
Wow. Okay.
And so by 2021, I finally decided to break my cycle of, just looking around in the same environment and getting disappointed all over again. And it's not to discredit, persons that I worked with in the past. It's just that I think I wanted more, and
Hmm.
some persons weren't offering what I needed. So that's when I started to look towards like the international market, and I saw an open door, so I used it. And I went and I shot a music video in Georgia because Georgia didn't have, I mean, the Bahamas didn't have waterfalls. I
Right.
wanted So I simply went over just because I wanted a waterfall. So I created an entire music trip just off of that need.
Right.
And then the following year, that's when I started to work with American producers. And that would have been in 2020. I went to Texas, Dallas, Texas, and I worked with um, many producers and sound engineers.
So that would have most likely been just before the pandemic.
Oh, I think when I traveled to Georgia, it was still a situation where you had to do the COVID test and the mask and stuff. So it would have been after and a
Oh,
little
okay.
yeah.
Right, so it would have been after, but just when I guess people were able to travel again and restrictions. So
Yeah. There
yeah,
was
so
a lot there's a lot of people like, oh, oh, you took the vaccination. Oh, this gonna, and I just was like, I need to move on. I can't stay here and suffer because taboo conversations and stuff like that.
Right, right. So you didn't let COVID stop you, or vaccination stop you. Yeah, I had a similar experience when I was in Grenada at the time when COVID was like really rampant, and I needed to travel to Canada, and I got vaccinated. I did what I had to do, and everybody was like, "Oh, you took the vaccination," and like the amount of misinformation and disinformation that was out there, and I'm
Yeah,
like, yo, like we've been taking vaccines forever. So, but I mean, I'm glad that you did not let that hamper you when you just
yeah,
did what you had to do. So that video that you shot in Georgia, it's complete and it's out.
yeah.
Right. Okay. Great. And what was the experience like then, doing a music video in Georgia versus working? Do you find it easier to get the work done internationally? Because you said, for example, like you wanted like a waterfall
Right.
and you couldn't find one in the Bahamas. By the way, you could have come to Grenada. We have a lot.
Um, See, my thing was, I don't, if I do travel, I
Hmm.
found myself not wasting a trip. So
Right.
I honestly wanted to get other things done, and because I was already kind of familiar with Georgia, I was
Right.
like,
Right.
just test the waters. So now the thing is, I had so I travel alone when I do my music. I haven't found persons that I would be able to travel with and not, you know, I need to get stuff done. So I went alone. I usually do, and I had done all my research before then. I got the Airbnb, got the car, and it was me trying to convince the videographer to kind of go to the waterfall. And so after I've done all this convincing and all this strategic, begging, I was like, hey, this would be really good. What's the price and stuff like that. And the biggest issue I faced was it was the day of. I think the makeup artist, she was pregnant or something,
Mm.
and I didn't know. I was supposed to get a house call, and then it turned into something else. Like, oh, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. And I was like, no, please. You know, the day of, I was fighting for my life because after I got the makeup done, I couldn't find the waterfall.
Oh wow.
They were doing some renovations around that area, and the GPS completely changed. And I think I had an old version, and so I spent about 3 hours looking for the waterfall after I got my makeup done.
Wow.
And luckily the videographer needed me to get back home, so he kind of was dependent on me to find him. But like after a while, he was kind of like, "Oh, I can't believe you can't find the waterfall," and I was just in the car, like trying not to cry. But I mean, it worked. It worked out. It was really nice. We got some good shots, and come to find out, it's a very public waterfall where a lot of persons were also doing shoots. So I didn't have to feel so, you know, like
Right.
out. Right across the waterfall was a photo shoot, you know.
Gotcha.
So I mean, it worked out.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's really good. And so you're also a hairstylist. Talk to me about that journey.
Right. Um,
Um,
Doing hair for years. Hair was really the basis of financial standings and stuff like that. And still I got a lot of opportunities through it, met a lot of people, I've been able to travel and do it as well. So I hope they meet somewhere, the music and the hair.
that would be great.
Yeah,
So so you've been doing you like I said you've been doing here for a long time, and I mean there's met a lot of people, and so now do you still do here, like are you still actively?
yeah.
working in the hair space?
With the hair, I'm gonna take it to the level I always wanted to take it to. I think I sorry, my dog.
That's okay. You could-
I'm gonna take it to the level I've always wanted to take it to. I think it's time. I think I'm at that place now. So
so what level is that? Like where have you always wanted to take that the hair journey?
shoot, I have so much dreams on my hair, but I guess I've spent a lot of time building with the music.
Hmm.
I honestly want to take it to international level. So I just want to be international.
Okay, so international with the music, international with the hair,
Yeah,
and then they will
it will.
intersect at some point. That's good. That's good. So right now your hair journey is mainly in the Bahamas. Like right now, do you like work with other artists within the Bahamas? Maybe um let's say another female artist in the Bahamas wants to do a music video, needs to get her hair done. Do you engage at that level where like you work with other artists on the hair, and maybe they work with you in some other capacity? Like how is the I suppose the coming together of artists in the Bahamas? How is that what is that like?
For me, I haven't been able to do something like that. I do call myself the pitch queen though. Like I if someone does come to me and says, "Okay, I want to do this," because I have worked behind the scenes with
Mhm.
shoots with persons I was close to before, but I think what has to happen with that is I'd have to actually pitch an idea and pitch like, something that'll spark the interest and, you know, I guess make
Mhm.
them stand out. So
Right.
I've done it with music so much. With hair, not as much. I haven't done stuff out the box with hair for a very long time, unless it was my
Mhm.
own project. So
Okay.
like I think it's time.
So do you do your own hair?
Yeah, I do.
Oh yeah. So the style you have now is really nice. You did that yourself.
I did. I actually did it before the interview.
Nice. That's dope. Okay, so let's imagine, right? We're 5 years into the future, and let's say you, from a hair standpoint, you started or you would accomplish what you wanted to accomplish. From the music standpoint, you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. What would that look like? Like
um,
think five years in the future. Are you doing what you always wanted to do with hair and music? What would that look like for Varcy?
I think I want to be more established. I think I want to branch out and be able to bring others on board. So, have a staff,
Hmm.
have franchises, things like that. So I'm thinking really big. I think I played small for a very long time. It's
Right.
actually exciting that I've done it for such a long time. So now I'm like really ready to branch out. So I guess 5 years from now, I want to be able to answer the needs of persons that haven't discovered certain things as yet. So I want to be an inventor within the music and the hair industry.
Mm. Right,
Yeah,
right, and then look to create opportunities for others, like
yeah,
you're saying, and do that thing. Okay, and seems as though entrepreneurship is because from what I'm hearing, you're saying, I'm hearing, entrepreneurship, building, really just being a pioneer,
right.
being that person within both the hair and the music space, and that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. So I mean, I'm looking forward to that. 5 years down the line, I'm gonna come back to you and say, hey, remember this interview that we had? Like,
Right.
where are we now? This is what you said. Right.
And I think it's just having faith. I think that's my biggest lesson, especially for this year. I wasn't able to recognize it last year, but I think this year, I think the biggest lesson is having faith and understanding the seasons, the transitions, knowing the persons you can their importance, your importance. So I think it's like, I guess, the exchange of life.
Yeah, and I mean that's important, you know, having faith, believing in something that's bigger than yourself, knowing that hey, this is the dream, and I'm gonna go after it. So, uh, Varsi, so for young people that are in the Bahamas or just across the Caribbean region that might have an interest in music or in here, and you know they want to get into that space, what advice can you give to them?
I would say invest in yourself first. I think another lesson I learned was not to be entitled. And it's not to say, I guess it's not to, entitlement could be a good or a bad word, but you have to know when and where it stands.
Right.
Um, I think a lot of people, they're very disappointed because they never give themselves a shot. They want someone else to give them a shot before they give themselves a shot. So I would say invest in yourself first. Um, you know, and try to find out what your purpose is, your calling, and utilize your gifts. Because I think we think a gift is something that everybody could see, but sometimes we have many gifts that we could use to facilitate the bigger picture. So I would say that, and focus, try to seek wise counsel, ask questions, never be afraid to ask questions. So take opportunities, take a
Right.
shot at it. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So Varsi, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I just have two more questions for you. That I one is, um, do you have, or do you have any memory of any like lesson that you learned from a parent or a grandparent that has stuck with you to this day? You know how first sometimes our parents or our grandparents will say certain things to us, and it's like lessons that they share with us. Sometimes it's a story that and you carry that with you. Like, do you have any such memory?
It's probably from mentors. I spend a lot of
Mm-hmm.
time with mentors because they're in areas that I guess they come from places where I want to be, and sometimes they understand the struggle more than, family members or friends. So I would say mentors more than anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got one mentor now. He just that change your mindset. I'm just like, how? So I think them allowing that space for things to happen, when you find persons like that wait for you to get it together, I think is a very beautiful thing. I would say I'm trying to figure out because I know they always telling me stuff, but I just it's so
Yeah,
much
but I
information to
mean, but
retain.
what you said about
Oh,
mentorship and having a mentor is something that I believe in 100%. And you know, I've had mentors from since I was younger. As a matter of fact, today I'm actually mentoring some young people. So I definitely agree with you, and I know the importance of mentors and mentorship, especially just really
right.
being able to um be have somebody that would have either done exactly what you would what you want to do, or just have some life experience
Mhm.
on you that you can learn from their journey, learn from their mistakes, learn from their failures, and just be able to do better is really important. So I completely agree with you on that piece. And let me ask you this. And I normally ask
Right.
everybody this question. It's there is no right or wrong answer, but it's just interesting to hear how people respond to it. If you were to find the the fountain of youth today, would you drink?
I don't know.
You
I
don't think
don't think
so?
I don't think so because I think as I get older, I learn to embrace. You know what I mean? I don't know if I ever found in a youth, I might be perpetually annoyed with stuff that happens when you're young. I don't know. I want to experience fullness of.
Yeah, I have people. I've had people say to me, "Oh, I am not drinking. Hands down. I want to grow old and die. I don't want to stay here forever." And I've had people say to me,
Yeah,
"You know what? Yeah, I'm drinking. I want to stay like this, and I want to. I'm good. I just don't want to get old." It's weird. The response I get, but it's also interesting the whole the perspective that people look at when speaking about youth and growing old and so yeah, I mean, different people based on their life experiences want different things. For me, if I'm being honest, I
right.
really don't know if I would drink or not. I don't know. I can't say yes, I can't say no. Yeah. But Varsi, is there anything else that
Mm.
you want to share with the Bars Nation before we wrap up? Like, how can people connect with you? Where can they find your music? Like tell us how we can like experience the Varsi effect with your music.
Well, I've been waiting so long to say this. Google me. I'm on Google. But anyway, yeah, you could type in Varsi on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Uh, shoot. Facebook. So I'm everywhere by the name of
So
Varcy. It
Varsi,
doesn't change.
Varcy. So just people
Right.
just type in Varsi and check out her music on YouTube. Check her out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Just type in Varsi and wherever, like you said, Google her, and you
Right.
will be able to check out her music and so. So Varsi, man, thank you so much for coming on, dropping bars and sharing your story with us. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate your time. And Bars Nation, thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Dropping Bars podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast wherever you're consuming it, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Amazon, even if you're watching the video on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this podcast with somebody that can benefit from it. So until next time, see you and Varsi again. Thank you for coming on to Dropping Bars.